Lights.
Camera.
Watch.
Napoleon.
Don't watch.
Don't watch.
Oh, wow. We both agree.
Yep, I thought you were going to be a big watch on this one.
No. It's a gigantic no watch. And I think part of it has to do for the fact that we're aware there's like a 4.5 hour version of it. And I don't know what this movie is because it seems to be like a bunch of things.
And so, honestly, I know very, very little about Napoleon. And what
How dare
Napoleon
you?
did.
U.S. history? You didn't study European history or anything like that?
Okay, well, U.S. history is not European history. I mean, a little bit, like the bare minimum. But I was like, honestly, like this is such a big figure, all the things. Like, I'm excited to see a full movie about his life. I went in knowing very little about Napoleon. I walked out knowing very little about Napoleon.
So there, like when I watched the movie, there was like segments of like romantic comedy in a way, battlefield or war, and historic stuff.
Yep.
And it tried to do, and maybe like a human piece, you know what I mean? As like an individual, like who Napoleon was, you know what I mean?
I didn't get any of that.
Well, I kind of felt like they threw a bunch of great ingredients in a blender, and not, like when you drank the smoothie, it's kind of like, it was kind of bland. But when you took segments of it, it was entertaining, and it was very cool and aesthetically beautiful.
Yeah. I thought the battle scenes looked incredible.
Okay.
You don't agree?
You know what was funny is like I kind of just wasn't impressed.
Okay.
But you know what I did today? I took a step back and I'm like, wait, they actually made it how the battle scenes are. You know what I mean? Like the war was boring back then, as like butcherous as it was.
That was the one thing I kept thinking while watching this movie, and I was like, wow, war is like, especially back then, is so stupid.
Let's
like,
stand in line and just shoot each other and just like people take bullets.
We're gonna cross countries, just walking, basically starving ourselves to literally line up and die and just see how many people stay standing.
Like, to me, I just thought to myself, like, and again, you have to put yourself in people's minds 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just make a bunch of like towers with cannons, you know, or just like areas, don't make them too high, just make bunch of cannons all over the place, you know.
The cannons did the most damage in his
I mean it really showed it. So I liked when the first sequence of the movie started is when he conquered Tulum or whatever it's called, and it's not called Tulum. Tulum's a area in like Mexico where people go on vacation. But like that sequence was kind of cool. I'm like, oh wow, this is interesting. You know, you had like the beginning of the revolution, and we go straight to war. But even the revolution, which is like a giant piece of European history, was so tiny. It was like, okay, we're just gonna do like a quick recap of the revolution, and then we're gonna go straight to war. But the war sequence is really, really well done. And when I went into watching this movie, I thought I'm gonna watch Gladiator 2.0 with, I don't know, with like a combination of Oppenheimer. Like, I'm going to see a great human piece as well as like awesome war.
It had the potential to be that. I mean, the material's there to be that. I just think that this man is so old.
Look,
I wish he's trying his hardest.
If I was that age and I'm able to produce that, I want to be.
Oh, it's a huge victory because at the end of the day, I thought it was watchable.
Yeah. And you know what the problem I have too is, even before the movie starts, when you say Apple original film or whatever,
it hurts.
It just doesn't seem like it's sort of like someone cashed out. Like when you see that logo, it's like,
have you ever seen a Netflix movie in the movie theater? That one hurts.
Yeah, it's just like, keep them where they belong.
Yeah.
Or sell it to audiences for $1. You know what I mean? That's like what I think it should do. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, can you watch this movie for $1?
Well, then it's the opposite flip of that side is like Killers of the Flower Moon, I think deserves the big screen.
I still, when I think of Killers of the Flower Moon, and I'm all like, it was really long.
Yeah.
And it bothered a lot of people, whoever I talked to.
No, it bothers a lot of people. As
a film, it is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
But people have not... We've reverted. Our attention spans is short, and we want to go pee. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you could have done something like this: Killers of the Flower Moon Part 1, Killers of the Flower Moon Part 2.
I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I think that one would have been better as a miniseries, even though I'm anti do everything as a movie and keep the miniseries out of it kind of thing. But there's just so much to tell in that story. I think it could have been a miniseries.
Yeah.
And like, I get the backlash of all of it and everything and the history and the Native Americans. Like, that's a sensitive subject. But, like, as a movie, like, I thought it kicked ass.
No, it absolutely does. And I don't think anybody that will watch that movie be like, oh, wow, this isn't a masterpiece. Like, it's like perfection. You know what I mean? But it's sort of like, there was that, I think it's that Rolling Stone article that when Blade Runner 2049 came out, it basically said, like, we don't deserve nice things because our attention span is not there.
Yeah.
But
this is the exact opposite. It's an Apple film.
It's
a historical piece. It's by a big, like, well-known filmmaker.
Yes.
It's
maybe one of the top 10 directors of all time.
And it just, like, Killers of the Flower Moon, you can walk out of that, and it's also made by an old man. You can walk out of it maybe like, he's still got it. That is a masterpiece.
I agree. No, I agree.
This is like, what are we trying to tell here?
I think as he was quoted, he's like, was it like, I don't care, just go have fun or whatever it is. It's like, it's just like a fucking movie. Just go watch it and enjoy it.
What, Napoleon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Napoleon is great because like I like kind of sum it up in like a excerpt that I took from like The Office. It's like bombs, babes, battles, Bonaparte. You know what I mean?
That's literally the end of the film. What is it? His last 3 words?
Yeah, or something like that.
France.
Right? Or should I keep it
Army,
to? Or should I
Joséphine.
keep it battles, bombs, Bonaparte? I don't know.
Oh, that one's good. That one's good.
So like, instead of that one. But it was just interesting to me. Like, if you took segments of that movie. And, like, imagine if you gave us, like, 2 hours of that.
It would have been great. But the thing is, like, I don't think I want a 4.5-hour Napoleon movie.
Maybe I want one. And guess what? Maybe they just do it, like, the relationship. You know? They, like, give me...
So
like,
I heard most of the stuff that was cut was the Joséphine stuff.
So, again, Kirby, Vanessa Kirby.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
She did great.
She was awesome. She stole the scene anytime she was there. Joaquin Phoenix, I felt like... kind of like, you know, like when they make fun of professional athletes, like this guy never warmed up and he just showed up and didn't like do any layups or anything. He just played the game.
Yeah.
That's what I felt like. Like he felt
like...
It
was the world's flattest performance.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guarantee, is Napoleon like that? Maybe. Sure. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows at this point.
But the part that I have that is Napoleon literally is a concept. That is, he's what he was able to accomplish.
Yeah.
Is like people like a Napoleon concept, like a short man with a giant ego that is just conquering stuff, you know? But like, I wish there was like a movie that was just like the love story of Napoleon and Joséphine.
The Priscilla to the Elvis.
Exactly. Just give us like, and I hope if they can somehow cut it or get someone to cut it, like if there was like a 5-hour or 4-hour version, just the love story in like an hour and 30 minutes.
That's the most interesting part to me because yeah, he's a great war person and he can conquer all the lands and all that stuff. But like in this, like we don't understand like why he wants to do it. Or like why he cares.
Oh, I think he's just trying to like please his wife. Be like, yo, babe, like I'm really good. Like, give me attention, love me.
So sure, let's say it's him trying to please his wife. He literally meets his wife. Like the kid comes in and is like, oh, I want my fallen father's sword.
I wonder if even that's true. That has to be true, right?
Probably not.
I don't know. It's such a weird way. I would rather they just meet at like an event. I wish, when they met at that event.
That would have been great.
That's it. I didn't...
Because you see her children in that scene, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
Where are her other 2 kids?
Yeah, speaking of that, there were so many characters that just were such a big part and like where the fuck? And
I don't know who you are, I don't know what you're doing. You seem very important in this scene and you were never to be seen again.
Like, you remember that dude that's in his like tent that goes in is like, yo, I got some bad news for you, bro. Like your wife's like banging other dudes. He was like in so many parts of the beginning of the movie and then he just disappears. But like that's why I feel like there's a 4 or 5 hour version where that person
is in there.
Yeah.
But again, like a 5-hour Napoleon movie?
Look, if you made it a miniseries, because I remember
it would have been better.
Yeah, but I don't think they wanted that. Like Apple says, like, oh, make movies. We want to be movie students.
I think it's Ridley Scott. I think Ridley Scott's like, I'm gonna make a movie.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Apple will give him the money to do whatever.
I know, it's so crazy, right? Because you've had no, I was gonna say David Fincher. You've had so many big directors just take like fuck you money. It's like, yeah, here you go. And it's like...
No, David Fincher falls in that category. He's taking Netflix's money and making his weird projects.
Yeah. So I really wish there was like, if they do a mini series or they give us like a 5-hour version or like a Snyder cut, one might say, literally give us a love story of like Napoleon and Joséphine throughout their relationship. And you can always have them like in the battlefield writing a letter, and she's writing a letter and stuff like that, and they're like unique like dinner table banters and stuff like that.
I think like honestly, if it was just framed that way, it would have been 10 times better.
I agree.
It kind of tried to be, but wasn't, because it wasn't about their love story. It wasn't about his war. It wasn't about him as a man. It was just like, these are the things that happened in Napoleon's time. And it's like, but it's not even following it like with information, like not even like an educational like documentary. It was literally just like, I guess we're gonna do like Napoleon vibes.
You know, when you say that, it really like brings up that part is like, oh, I conquered Italy. Like literally there's a part that's like, why don't you show us the fucking wars of you conquering like, just one war? Give me like one war, or like battle scenes, or like a montage in the background as you're like writing your thing. Be like, yo, it's like just people fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as to say, it's like, okay, then why don't you make a movie of like Napoleon the Conqueror? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Just him being some fucking badass and just like winning wars after wars and wars, and the dialogue he has with like all these emperors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he has those in the movies. Like, imagine he has like a movie that it's like a relationship, a movie that he's like some badass fucking like conqueror, and the conversations he has with like all these kings and ducks and whatever it is. And then you have this other aspect of him as an explorer, because he straight up goes to Egypt and conquers Egypt, but he's like, he does what Alexander does. Like, he conquers Egypt and explores
Shoots
it.
a cannon at the pyramid.
That is like such like a like I'm
happens.
swinging my dick move. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are in sabers, like shoot the cannons, you know? And he doesn't even say shoot the cannons. He like waves to this guy and he goes this, you know? And then the other aspect you have is just like the piece of the individual, like the aristocrat, the guy that becomes like a king, a ruler and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like just the history aspect of all, like combination of that. You could have done so much with this character, but again, I felt like we don't know what's on the editing floor. So all of this can be perfectly done. You know what I mean? If they release like an extended version, because Ridley Scott is known for having like the director version, extended cut version, all these things.
He's notorious for releasing like tons of versions. So like, I know the extended cut will be seen. Mm-hmm. Honestly, put it on Apple TV Plus, watch it in chunks. That's almost better. Mm-hmm. Like, sure, but like, why are we doing this these days? Like, why can't we just get like a good, here's my finished project of like something I'm proud of, not like, oh, well, I had to cut it down to 2 hours, but if you see all of my footage, it like makes sense, but like the one you're gonna see doesn't really make sense.
That's like
go catch it at the movies.
That's like a cop out. That's sort of like, you know what pisses me off? That's kind of like, you know how the Game of Thrones writer is like, oh, well, yeah, we have to finish the show, but like, I'm not done writing the book.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, fucking finish the book. Like, I get it. Like, let it suck. You know what I mean? But just finish it by now. You know what I mean? What if it happens you die? Yeah. You know? Because the guy that wrote like Dune, he wrote like 8 novels, but he never finished the anthology or whatever it's called. He never finished the 9th one. He just has notes on it. And I always think to myself, like, you know, at least put it together or record your audio or video or stuff like that. I hate when that stuff happens, when like there's a visionary and you can't like, just document yourself and get your ideas out.
I get that it's like at this point there's just so much pressure for it to be incredible that like you're like, oh, if I don't put it out, it's almost better than like receiving like the scrutiny of it being bad. But you got tons of like millions of fans. Just wrap it up.
Yeah. Other part of this movie that kind of like didn't weird me out is just like, I don't see Joaquin Phoenix as like a guy that like, let's see him have sex with people.
Oh, you didn't like him doggy style?
No, like he's like, yeah, have you seen like how a rabbit does it? It's like that and falls down.
Horrendous.
Yes.
And he's like trying to seduce her and just like, was he like hissing at her? Like, what is he doing?
Look, I mean, it's got to be sexy if the guy's conquering the world, because he's like the equivalent of like a Jeff Bezos at a level.
But like, is it though? Like, she doesn't really seem like their relationship to me. Like, again, is like the most interesting part, but also like in the movie, like they meet. Next scene, they're married. Mm-hmm. Next scene, you can't have my child.
Well.
Next scene, we're divorced, and it's like there's not enough here for me to care. You know
what? You know what the thing too is, like, I can't blame Joséphine, because like literally she says like, if I didn't like fuck people in jail, like I would have died.
Oh yeah.
So this girl's like, yo, I gotta like take care of business. Mm-hmm. I kind of felt like Will Smith and Jada Pinkett vibes. Did you get that thing? Like,
sure, yeah.
That's like, it's like Jada's always cheating on Will, and Will's like out there conquering the world. It's like, babe, I love you. It's the, you know, like, I hate hearing these news and stuff. And like, it is like, he reads the newspapers, like, so and so's cheating on your wife, you know.
I thought the like infidelity, like, or the fact that what is it, an 18-year-old girl they bring in for him to like impregnate to see if it's her fault, but she already has children.
Well, back then they got busy early. But that was so easy. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, we need to see whose equipment works, whose equipment doesn't work. You know what's funny in that dinner table? Go.
Well, I was going to say also, like, he now has a child and then he divorces Josephine, but it wasn't the whole point that he needed a child. So, like, why doesn't he just stay married to Josephine?
I don't get it. You're emperor. You can just, like,
do whatever the fuck you want.
You know, like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? He crowned himself.
Yeah.
He literally crowned himself. So, like, you're emperor. You're not even a king. You are what you are. But like the part that's funny, like when they're at that dinner table, he's like, you haven't produced me an heir, so it's clearly like not me.
I like that there's a whole bunch of other people at that table.
Yeah, it's kind of like those like housewives of blah 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 when they have the recap version of the season, and they have that guy that does the show. I don't know. It's kind of like when they have those fights. Yeah, like anyways. So he's like, you know, like you haven't produced me an heir. And I know you're banging other dudes, so it's clearly not me, because you're banging other guys and nothing's working down there. You know what I mean? And like, it's just funny. Like, he just throws shit at her.
Literally. Dude.
He has this moment. He's like, what was it? He's like, he's all like, destiny has brought me to this lamb.
The best line is when he gets upset at like another army because they have boats.
Oh yeah, he's all like, it's like they think they're so good because they have boats. That was hilarious. Like the British think they're so much better than me because they have boats. I'm like, fuck you guys.
This is an incredible hear the dads chuckle in the movie theater movie.
Yeah, because it's like a history major's like love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what other sequence that I thought was really badass is like, you know that part where like they like jump him and then like they chase him out of the place.
Yeah.
And then he's like, him and his brother are holding the door. Or something,
and then
like,
he convinces the army to like go in.
Hey, they're just trying to fuck me up. I'm your general. I've been winning these wars. Like, go in with like, and then he's like, oh, who's daddy now? You know? Let's vote. That's such a badass line. It's like, let's do it. But like, that's the cool part because like back then generals fought on the front lines with their soldiers.
Yeah.
It's like they didn't hide. You know, you could easily like take one out. It wasn't like preferred, but like that was the situation. Now I will say like, because I saw trailers of like the battle scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah, the coolest one was the ice one, and that was like spoiled in the trailer.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like Tulum was cool, like the way they did it and like the CGI of them taking down the ships.
Yeah, that was cool.
I mean, the whole ice battle was kind of cool. Them marching into like freaking like Moscow.
Oh, that was cool too with the fire.
Yeah. I just think that was such a badass line. Like he's Napoleon, he's conquered pretty much. Like he's the goat at the moment, and he's like, fuck. They rather burn it down than give me this place. He's like I have like it's sort of like you have my respect.
But then at the end, he's like talking to the kids on like his banished rock or whatever, and he goes, you know, I burned down Moscow, and they're like, no, you didn't. And he's like, who told you that? And she's like, it's common knowledge. Like, what do you mean?
And Joséphine in the newspapers. You know, I have to say, Tsar Alexander, he's a fuckboy.
Who's that?
The Russian, the Tsar that came in and just whined today. He's a little fuckboy. He just came in. He's like, yo, what's up, buddy? You know, like, I'm going to go hit up your girl right now.
Yeah.
It's such like a bitch move.
He kind of killed it.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Another thing that doesn't make sense to me is, so the first time he's banished to like a weird little island, he comes back and then just convinces the armies that he's
the right guy to lead.
He's the right guy to lead, but the army's not the person who banished him.
Yeah, but if you have the men,
so he just convinced the whole army to just abandon like basically the country and go stand with him.
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's been done before. Like it's not the first
wild.
time. Like, but yeah, like but that shows that he like the people love him. You know, like he generally like, yo, you made France like top dog. Like because again, he conquered so much of the world that was like relevant in their area that like people were like, yo, we gotta follow this guy. This guy's a genius.
Did they battle England in this?
Yeah.
Where?
Waterloo.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where he loses.
Yep. Yeah.
But he goes against everybody.
Yeah.
But he fucked up, and it's like this is the story of like any history you read is like you don't invade Russia. You don't. because strategically, it's just when the winter hits, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they live there and they can retreat, and you can be like, okay, like the lines of resources stretched in, and like we can tragically kind of see what's happening in the world right now with that. But like I'm just saying, like it happened to Napoleon, it happened to like Hitler. Like you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't invade Moscow. Like it's just not in your best intentions. Anyhow, I just thought I owe some kudos to Vanessa Kirby because I felt like she carried the movie.
For sure, without a doubt.
Because Joaquin kind of didn't. Joaquin's kind of like, I don't know who to be.
He made a choice to like play the character like that, and that choice really led to like, I wouldn't say quality, like really bland like performance. Like just watching this man with no emotion like conquer all these armies while he's supposed to be like this big dramatic like figure is like not that interesting.
Yeah, when I watched this movie, I just looked at it as like C+. Effort was put in, but it's like something was wrong. Like it just wasn't a finished product in my opinion. And I think almost anybody that watches this movie feels that same way. But imagine if they made a Napoleon that was just like a fucking comedy, you know? Like
that would have been, it would have been way better if it was like obviously this is like funny. It was funnier than I expected it to be. It plays as a comedy, which I don't really think it's supposed to, but kind of is. If it was like leaned into the weirdness, like even like the Vanessa Kirby him weirdness and the comedy weirdness, it would have been like just so much better. I think it had so much substance that I got overwhelmed with the substance that it now lacks substance. Like they didn't know what to put in there and they put the wrong stuff in there.
Yeah, it kind of felt like it's like, look, we're gonna make these badass battle scenes perfect, and we're gonna chop up a bunch of stuff and like glue it in between to make it seem like realistic. Because you know, like they always had like, oh, this period, this is what's going on. You know what I mean? I thought that was kind of cool, but I felt like you could have given. I felt like certain battles could have been smaller and you could have added more context, and like, but again, sometimes when there was context, I found like it was kind of like stupid. Yeah. Like him like spying on people, like he was always the one spying. Like, bro, like why do you have to show me that? You know, like I don't care. It does not move my plot forward. I don't know. And then there's like the weird elements with the mom too. Like the mom, like imagine your mom calls you up, it's like, yo, son, I got this girl that you're gonna bang. And it's like, yo,
there's a child waiting down the hall.
It's like
fully nude.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, and it's like we just gave her a bunch of money. It's a surrogate, basically OG. No, literally OG surrogate. And it's like, or like even the beginning where he like, I just didn't anticipate like, why did you show that, like the horse getting shot by a cannon?
Oh my god, thank you so much for bringing this up because I completely forgot about it, and the entire time I watched the movie, it was all I could think about. They open it with just blowing up the horse out of nowhere, and for the rest of the movie, all I could think of was, the rest of this hasn't been that brutal. Why did they do that to the fucking horse?
I know, it's CGI too. But then they're like, he's just like, oh my god, this to mom.
That was awful.
It's like, why the fuck would you do that? Why would you give this to your mom? It's so weird, creepy thing. Like, what's up with their family?
Here's the bloody, it blew up horse cannonball. Mom would love that.
Yeah.
No.
So.
It's it's watchable if you're someone who really likes history.
Yeah.
Go for a good time, but like if you don't really care that much, it's a skip.
So this is gonna be a lights.
No, camera.
Don't watch.
Yeah, don't watch for sure.
I guess we should end it that way, huh?
Sure.
All right. Merry Christmas, everybody, and happy holidays.